right, folks, I promised you that I was going to put the video up dealing with the ideology quiz, the bedroom and the wallet quiz, and I wanted to go ahead and hit on this really quick and give y'all a couple of things to think about with this. Make sure that you've got it. Now, we basically covered 3 of the quadrants in here, and if you remember, this is basically just a mathematical type of a graph. If this vertical line here is actually the bedroom or the moral line, this horizontal line is the wallet or the economics line, and then the pluses or the minuses that you see are going to deal with government regulation. So for example, if you see your name on the right side of this graph, then you believe that government should have an active role in regulating wallet or economic issues. If you came on the left side of this line, then in fact you believe that the government should have less regulation in terms of economics or in terms of morals. Economics or in terms of wallet. Now, when you look at this horizontal line, this is going to actually start getting us into morals. So if you scored above the horizontal line, regardless of whether it's on the left or the right, then you actually believe that the government should regulate moral issues, at least somewhat, and some of you may be even stronger than others. If you scored below this horizontal line, then in fact you believe that government should actually avoid the moral issues, that people should be able to make these decisions on their own. Now I'm going to zoom in on these categories and just hit on these fairly quick-like, because I know we had mentioned these in class, but I do want to make sure that these are pretty fresh for you. And I'm going to start in the upper left-hand quadrant. The upper left-hand quadrant, for exam purposes for this, what I want you to know is the government's relationship with bedroom and wallet issues. So conservatives, or Republicans in the American context basically, are typically going to believe that government should regulate moral issues, meaning there are certain things that people can do and certain things that people can't do, and it's government's role to make those decisions because people can't make them for themselves. In this regard, one of the questions I had asked you was school prayer. Conservatives would say that school prayer should be required, and in fact it might not even be a non-denominational prayer, but it might be a specific faith that they would want in there. Abortion is something that is not the woman's choice alone, but government should have some role in this, and some people would say government should have the only role, and women should have no choice. When you put this into context, gay marriage is another one, a choice issue. Conservatives are typically going to be against this. Another example of government regulating morals. Now with this in mind, you believe, conservatives, that government should stay out of economic issues. So I should be able to earn what I keep, and in fact I should be able to keep what I earn. So what the idea on this is, basically when you think about it, if I can buy a home, then I should be allowed to do it, but government probably should not give me boosts in order to be able to do this. The wealthier people should pay taxes, but in fact everybody should pay taxes, and maybe it shouldn't be necessarily the wealthier that have to pay more. These are kinds of things we're talking about as far as economic issues. Government regulating the price of gas. Government should not regulate gas, but in fact the market should determine what the price of gas is. These are all examples of government staying out of economic or wallet issues. Now when you look at this, there were a number of you, and this is actually kind of surprising, 6 of you actually fell in the conservative category, and I'll explain that why in just a second. But when you look at this, Ryan W., Brendan C., Henry M., Angie, Marcos, and Kofi, all of you to varying degrees believe that the government should regulate should regulate morals and stay out of economic issues. Kofi, you, Brendan, and Ryan were very strong as far as the government should stay out of wallet issues on 5 of those 7 questions. If you look here, Henry, Ryan, and Brendan, you were all very strong in terms of government regulating morals. On 5 of 7, you believe that the government should. So for purposes of the exam, conservatives believe in regulating moral issues. There are certain things that government can make better decisions on than the people can, and government should stay out of economics. Now the opposite of this is actually going to be my liberals down here. And maybe this should make sense. They're catty-corner, and anytime something is catty-cornered, they don't share, obviously, a common side. So with this in mind, a liberal is going to be the exact opposite of a conservative. Liberals believe in regulating economic issues, but they believe in terms of personal choice. So people should be allowed to make their own decisions in the bedroom in moral issues. So when you look at this, and you notice the bulk of the class, or the largest probably group in the class, is actually going to be liberal. And you've got Ricky up here, Eric Fee, Lateria, Brendan B, Sam, Megan, Aramis, Anna C, and then ultimately David all the way down over here. Now to give you an idea on this, the closer that you are to the center, and this is basically the origin of the graph right there, the more moderate you are. So Ricky, if you notice up here, you are, you're actually very, very moderate compared to a lot of the other people in the class. Eric and Fee, and Materia even, you're very moderate in terms of economic issues, because on 4 of the 7 questions you said government should regulate money issues. However, the difference is in terms of moral issues. Ricky, on 4 of the 7, you said government should stay out of moral issues. Eric and Fee, you said on 5 of the 7, government should stay out. Lateria, you said on 6 of the 7 that in fact government should stay out of moral types of issues. So when you put this into context, you all agree in terms of economics, but Lateria is far more liberal and Ricky is far more moderate in terms of morals. Now, a special case that we've got down here is David. Good God, man. David, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On 6 of the 7 questions, you believe that the government should regulate economic issues. David, on 7 of the 7 questions, you said that the government should stay out of morals. David, you are actually a very, very strong liberal in this regard. And again, as I said, the further are you away from the origin, in fact, the stronger or maybe even the more radical your beliefs are. And it's pretty obvious that you're far further away than Ricky, Sam, Megan, Aramis, even Brendan B. or Anna C. as you look at this. Now let me move over and let me go up a notch here. And as I go up a notch, we get into regulation of everything. This was the last one that we talked about in class, and just to kind of put this into perspective, the Jim Crow article dealt with the conservatives. To put this into perspective, the tunnel article in California dealt with the liberals. And then if you remember the populists, we had talked about the Hugs article for this one, and I believe we had also talked about TT, the infected prostitute. Populists are basically going to look at things and they're going to say, you know what? Populists are going to say that Joe and Jane Sixpack cannot make good decisions for themselves, so government needs to step up and regulate and make decisions for them. And the idea is that populists aren't trying to be jerks, but they're trying to help the little people to put them on an even plane. So when you think about this, populists, they're going to believe in regulating economic issues. They're going to believe that there need to be taxes on the wealthy in order to help people that don't make as much. They're going to believe that people need help buying that first home. They're going to need or believe that government needs to regulate the price of gas, these types of things. These are all examples of economic issues. So they're going to be with the liberals in that regard. They're also, though, going to be halfway conservative on moral issues because when it comes to school prayer, they're going to believe in it. When it comes to same-sex marriage, they're not going to agree with it. When it comes to abortion, they're not going to agree with it. When it comes to everything being in English, for example, like the anthem or the flag salutes, the Pledge of Allegiance, they're going to believe that this should be a requirement as well. So when you look at populists, their intentions are good. The problem that happens with populists sometimes, though, is they feel like they can help to the point where they help too much. They can fix any problem. And there's a certain danger, ultimately, that comes with this. And that is, populists have a possibility of ultimately evolving into what are known as dictators. So with this in mind, the further that you are away from the center, the stronger your beliefs are. We've got Charles, we've got Melissa W., we've got Paige down here. All of y'all agreed that on 4 of the 7, the government should stay or should regulate moral issues. So y'all are pretty moderate, but there are some moral things, bedroom issues in fact, that government should prohibit that people can't do. Paige, if you notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on 6 of the 7 questions, you actually said that the government should regulate economics. So Paige, you're actually a very moderate populist in terms of moral issues, but you're a very strong populist in terms of economic ones. Melissa D, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. On 5 of the 7, you basically said that the government should regulate morals, and on 5 of the 7, you basically said that the government should regulate economics. Melissa, this is a question I usually like to ask in front of people. people, but it seems like you have control issues based on the way that you scored with this. So if there's a question on the exam that basically asks, who is most likely to be the class dictator? It's going to be Melissa D. So keep that in mind. Now there's one last category, and this is the one that we did not get to, and I want to make sure that we hit on this one today. There's no article really for this one, but if populists believe that government should regulate everything, that actually is going to take us down here to this bottom category. And you folks are what are going to be known as my libertarians. Libertarians are basically going to believe that the government that governs best is the one that governs least. So there's some overlap with libertarians and laissez-faire from the earlier chapter when I had given you this earlier quiz. Government is basically going to stay out of economic or wallet issues. Government is basically going to stay out of moral ones. Now here's the thing with this. Everybody likes freedom. Libertarians are basically going to say that the individual is going to be free to rise as high as he, she, or hen can rise to. With this in mind, they're also going to say that the individual is going to be free to fall as well. So if liberals are going to help people get back up on their feet, libertarians are not. They're not. Libertarians are the one party that believes in the legalization of weed. That is in their presidential platform every year. So when you think about it, when it comes to taxes, they're going to believe in minimal taxes, minimal regulation. We've already talked about vacation laws, paid vacation laws in an earlier chapter. They're not going to necessarily believe in paid vacation, but the government that governs best is going to govern the least, leaving more individual freedom for people to be able to act and create and ultimately succeed. Now it's interesting on this. All of you fell on the same line. So all of you believe the exact same regulation in terms of economic issues. And this is Anna P. This is Henry S., Alexander, Jack, Lewis, and Patrick J. As you look at this, on 4 of the 7 questions, all of y'all said that the government should stay out of economics. You're all very moderate libertarians in terms of economic issues. Sometimes the government should regulate, but in fact, more often than not, the government should not. It really depends on what the issue is, but more often than not, you're going to say the government should stay out. As you look at this, we've got Anna up here. Henry, on 5 of the 7, you said that government should stay out of moral issues, so this is Henry S. Alexander, on 6 of the 7, Jack and Lewis, all of you on the exact same dot, 6 of the 7, government should stay out of morals. You're very strong in terms of moral libertarianism, but again, moderate on economic ones. And then Patrick J. down here on 7 of 7, you said government needs to stay out of your moral business, your bedroom issues, but government should have more of a role in terms of economics. Now, a couple of extremes. I had mentioned to you that an extreme populist can actually become a dictator, and Melissa seemed to fit that category. An extreme libertarian is actually what is known as an anarchist. And an anarchist is going to be somebody that believes in the absence of government. And you're saying, well, how can that actually work? Believe it or not, in international relations, there is no world government. So all of the couple of 100 countries that are in the world today are all in an environment of anarchy. And when you think about it, we haven't really had a world war since the end of World War II. So it seems to have worked reasonably well. An extreme conservative. An extreme conservative actually becomes overlapping with a Nazi. And the idea here, and this is, I'm not saying that conservatives are Nazis, just like I'm not saying that all conservatives believe in Jim Crow earlier. But when you look back at Nazism, and you really sit down and you think about it, Hitler's Germany regulated you to an inch of your life. It was a jump how high kind of a circumstance, and if you asked any question other than how high after they told you to jump, you're probably going to be imprisoned and potentially killed. Well, with this in mind, when you look at the conservatives up here, as far as Nazis, the Nazis regulated you within an inch of your life as far as all of the moral types of decisions. But if you followed the rules, you could actually make a hell of a lot of money in old Nazi Germany. So, in fact, there is some overlap here, maybe more than some folks would be comfortable with. Last one up here is actually going to be liberals. And the liberals are basically saying here, again, an extreme version, you are now going to become my communists. All of these, and you know, too much of anything is not necessarily going to be a good thing. My communists. David, you're actually very, very close to this, and I'm sorry to call you out and put you on blast on a video like this, but the idea, if you look at this, is you are very, very strongly in terms of economic regulation, even stronger in terms of moral deregulation. That's actually pretty solid for socialists or getting into some communist ideals. So keep in mind, these are the extremes. For the exam, please make sure that you know Please make sure that you know the relationship between bedroom and wallet and liberal, conservative, libertarian, and populist. And as long as you know when the government's supposed to regulate or when it's not, or if it regulates everything or nothing, that's really going to be the answer to these kinds of questions. Good luck on Thursday's exam.